back with some actual new tips for you guys. This is an interesting time of year with general interest in the game dwindling and hype at all-time low levels, but I still think there's so much more to uncover, play around with, and some fun to be had in this game. And what better way to show that with a brand new Blitz, I think, at least. I don't think I've seen it anywhere else. It's not the best defense all around. I think it still needs some work on the back end of things, but the Blitz itself is one of the easiest and most consistent in the game from what I see. It's an edge-braced pressure, obviously, so likely what you'll usually see in this game, you know, with the 3-5 odd or the dime type of things. It's usually, if you're finding pressure in this game, it's either a user rush or somewhere off the edge, and so this is no different from that. But what's good about this is that it's out of a defense that isn't susceptible to weak box penalties and really wide running lanes. And so that is with the 3-4 bear, which is in many playbooks throughout the game, including 46 and my personal favorite, Baltimore. Now, of course, you have an awful lot of linebackers in this set, which of course isn't great in terms of animations for picking off balls. And the coverage itself is pretty basic, but you know, you can add Lurker now in Ultimate Team, which is pretty cheap. And then you can also use your untapped creativity to really make something special here. So what we'll do is we'll get into the play here, cover 2 invert out of, again, 3-4 bear, and we'll go over what makes this Blitz so nice. So before we get into it, just real quick on personnel and alignment. Like some of the looping blitzes, like 3-5 odd, you don't need any sort of special thresholds in terms of agility or anything like that. Really nowhere you need any sort of special players. The only thing, and this is what you're likely doing anyway, is just you want speed across the board, especially the guy that's going to be coming off the edge. Now alignment, as you'll see a little bit later, it doesn't really matter, but right here I just have it set up so my extra overhang defender is to the weak side of the bunch. But what you'll see in a little bit is that we can set it up to either side. So this is what the coverage looks like. So it's cover 2 invert, which is kind of like cover 3, except the middle safety is playing a little bit lower in that mid read, which can be nice in terms of his aggression down low, but also he can get beat over the top. So watch out for that. But actually, you know, towards the end of the video, we'll talk a little bit about the coverage side of things, not too much. But otherwise, it's just simple like that. Then the Blitz itself, it's really one of the easiest that you can possibly find. Simply blitz that extra overhang guy, and that's it. You're ready to go. So right here, we're sending 5 against 5, and we'll show you how he just comes right across that edge and in for the sack. So you can leave it like that. You can also contain if you wish. So this will work out just the same, pretty much. Maybe, I don't know, I didn't time it. Maybe it's a little bit quicker, I don't know. But certainly you can do the contain, he goes right at the quarterback, and you get that instant sack. Now, like what I was saying, you can do this to either side, really. So depending on if you're auto-flipped and then you just happen to be on the other side, or if you have some certain reason you want to be on the other side, which we'll get into shortly, you can run it from there. Now, it's pretty obvious where the heat's coming from if you send it, so it's not like it's symmetrical to either side and your opponent can think, okay, is it coming from the left or the right? Here, it's obviously coming from the right if it's coming at all. But the setup's the same. We're just blitzing that extra guy, and then we can contain him if we wish. One thing actually about contains, there is actually a downside to it. Contains do have a chance of getting nano detected from what I see. If you don't run the contain, he'll come in clean. If you do, he does have a chance of getting nano detected. So let's see what happens here. In this case, yeah. So in this case, he got nano detected, so we'll run it again without the contain. So I think in general, you probably want to not contain. Maybe if you want to contain, so this other guy's in a contain and then re-blitz this guy, you can do that if you want. But in general, it's probably better to just keep him on his regular blitz path and he'll come in clean. Okay, so that's really nice. Let's keep going with different scenarios. So in this case, again, same thing, but we're coming off the weak side. Let's go ahead and go run play action. So in years past, there have been blitzes that were nice, but then for whatever reason, they didn't work against play action. But in this case, they also work against play action. Right here, you know, if they have a play action where the back will release into the route, then it's no problem. In some cases where the back stays into block, he will target that extra guy, but in a lot of cases like this, he'll be kind of too late to come back. In some cases, he's able to come back and chip that guy, which is nice for the offense, I guess. But if we run it again, I don't know, I guess I didn't look into it. I think more times than not, he won't be able to come back. So in this case, he wasn't. So you're still pretty good there. So play action, you're still okay. What about things like sliding? So let's slide to the left. Let's even ID that extra guy. And then let's do the same thing over here. You'll see that that doesn't really do anything. In that case, he kind of bounced around, but he still got in there. Let's go, I think one of the things for blocking 3-3-5 odd without having to commit a running back to the block, you can try to ID this guy, but that really doesn't do anything. Right here again, we're just gonna come clean. So obviously really good, but the one thing that will shut this blitz down, and it's really, really simple, is just blocking the running back, obviously. So in this case, we are blocking the running back without any sort of play action, so he doesn't need to waste his time in that. He can go immediately kick out, and things actually change a little bit with the blocking, but yeah, usually he's just gonna be able to get one of those guys on the cut block, and that's not so good for you. And that's actually good, I think. We don't want this to be too toxic where there's just no workarounds and the pressure's in your face no matter what. In this case, it's a really, really good pressure, really good blitz, but there's a really simple and effective way to counter that by just blocking the running back. Now, if they're really stubborn and want to send all 5 guys in the route, then they're going to have to deal with the pressure. But if they're smart with it and they just block the running back, in most cases, they'll just be okay, assuming they're not putting him in the play action first. Now, if we want to circumvent that, there are a few ways of going about it. It obviously, the chances of coming in are lessened, and then we also have to distort our coverage a bit, so it's not great. But what we can do is simply just flip, and things flip pretty nicely. And then we just blitz the other guy, and what we'll do is we'll pick the linebacker in the middle here, not the safety, but the linebacker, and we'll put him on man coverage on the back. And in this case, I think contain actually helps to get around, to get kind of wider so the back doesn't notice the edge guy. And so in this case, yeah, we got the nano detection. We got kind of a lucky pressure off of that. But sometimes what will happen, let's see if we can replicate it right here, where the edge guy comes clean and then the back is too far inside. But with that nano detection, it's just not something that we can really rely on. So yeah, that's the one main downside. It's something that's still kind of working on. If you want to run this, I'd definitely take it to practice mode, see if there's a way to work around that. Because otherwise, if they're just blocking their running back, that's almost dead in the water. Unless you mixing it in with things in terms of you're going between blitzing and you're going between that and like some sort of max coverage look where all these guys are in max coverage, and then you go out in the blitz. Those are things you can certainly do. You can also take matters into your own hands, so you can just user blitz that. So you can just come around the edge right here and then just get that yourself, but obviously that takes you out of the coverage. One thing that you should know, though, if you're coming up against under center formations like single back or I form or anything like that, you shouldn't contain. So if you contain here, there's a good chance that that left tackle can actually widen enough to pick him up. So in this case, you see he just passed off the other guy and is able to pick him up, no problem. But if you leave him on his regular blitz path, you should still be okay again. So in this case, he'll go right around and right in for that sack. But yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to know in terms of the blitz itself. I think it's really, really interesting. I've only tried it a few games so far. Obviously, everything works okay online. It's just that you still have to get used to things a little bit in terms of setting up your adjustments and everything like that, and being able to do multiple things out of this pretty stagnant single high look. It's a little bit difficult. I'm used to more two high types of things. You can run quarters and all sorts of interesting things. Right here, you're kind of limited a little bit in terms of what you can do. And the other thing is that the alignment can be tricky sometimes against some of these more spread looks where everybody's in the box, which is nice against the run, right? It's just completely stacked. It's almost impossible to run in there. But then you have guys, completely covered uncovered to the right, and so you can run things like bubbles and things like that. But if you're aligned properly, and let me just go ahead and reset this because there are some things I want to talk about. if you're aligned properly with the auto align, so the strength of the formation is to the strength of the offense, if you press, that safety will come out and give you a little bit more of a reasonable look right there. So right here, you're a little bit better in terms of just, covered, leaving guys covered, not leaving guys uncovered before the snap. And then from there, you can do things like this, and then the obvious coverage adjustment would be, putting this guy in the flat so that you at least have 2 flats on that side. Maybe you want to run more of a traditional cover 3 type of thing. You have this hook here. Maybe you'll, put this guy in this hook, and then you can spy this guy. And we know that with a 3-man rush, you can still get around. But, that part is, completely up to you. There's a lot of interesting things you can do. But, how effective they are out of this, single high look with all these linebackers, I don't know. But I think it's certainly a nice work in progress. But in terms of, obviously you're going to be getting the great pressure, which is really, really nice. But then the other thing is that it's a great run defending formation, right? So it's not like 3-3-5 odd or the big dime 1-4-6, where it's just, you can get weak box penalty if they're audibling down into some of the heavier sets. So, that kind of makes it useless for, half of the plays out there. But right here, you're heavy. And then you are clogging all of those gaps, right? This is a bare front, so you guys got guys in the B gaps, so things like inside zone are really, really difficult to run. Similar with nickel 3-3-5 wide, it's almost impossible to run inside zone on those, and it's no different here, where you can simply just shoot those gaps with your linebacker backside. And then the other cool thing is if I reset this, guys kind of out of position, but anyway, we have 9 guys in the fit. So even if you don't want to run this as your main defense, this could be a great defense for some of the guys that run a good mix of running and passing out of under center, whether that's single back or I-form sets or anything like that, because now you have good pressure, you have okay coverage, and you have an aggressive 9-man front where the free safety is actually in the fit. Now, of course, he's in a mid-read here, so you can get beat over the top. And then if you do a middle third, he will be out of the fit. But, if it's a goal line situation, or you just want to get a little bit aggressive with it, or if you want to just use this guy yourself, you will have 9 guys in the fit, and it'll just make it really, really difficult to run on. But anyway, that's pretty much it for that. Maybe I'll do another video down the road, maybe for the YouTube membership, or maybe just another one next week or something, if I kind of play around with it a little bit, find something better for the halfback block workaround, and then in terms of coverage adjustments and things like that. But anyway, other than that, that's it for this one, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.